Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I could go even further than that. Like I said, it could be planned, all of it. They could have hired the guy on the street that record it. They could have, talked to that cop beforehand and say, hey, this is what you're going to do. It could have been either pressured or it could have been, who knows, whatever. Maybe he stumbled upon something or knew what they were going to do or anything. I mean, there's lots of ways that it could have went down, but they coerced him. They said, hey, I need you to do this. Hey, this is Jung Lee. He's going to record everything. You know what I mean? We're just going to go from there. And so they record it, and the cop doesn't say anything. He doesn't acknowledge the fact that this dude is suffering in any way. He doesn't acknowledge being recorded. He's just sitting there staring at the camera and looking back and just kind of watching and waiting for this dude to die. He's oh, I mean, who knows what he's thinking? Oh my God, I can't believe I got to do this. Oh man, who knows what they did with him? Because now we don't see him anymore. Maybe they'll show a couple shots of him in court. Maybe they'll show different things but eventually he's going to disappear, and we're not going to see him or if we want to know what's going on with him. I mean, we're already focused on these people have just started rioting and burning stores down and stealing and fucking, you know what I mean? It did exactly what it needed to do.
I think you bring up a good point there. And I've actually said this, and I've seen somebody bring up a good point with this, is that this is really the first instance that there's been some type of video of something like this happen to where everybody is on the same fucking page. There's been some things that have happened in the past that, the video footage was maybe kind of edited, you kind of didn't really see the whole fucking picture. Still, what I'm saying is, I typically tend to be the devil's advocate, right? So even if something seems to be one way, I'm always going to give the other side the benefit of the doubt. I try not to jump to conclusions if possible, right? And that's no matter what side of it is, I'm not a supporter or somebody who fucking likes police. I fucking grew up on Rage Against the Machine and shit. So I question authority a lot. But when I see a story, especially with something's being sensationalized on social media and stuff, I automatically question it. If people are coming out strong on one end, I'm usually questioning that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying this was really the first time everybody was on the same page. Everybody who's seen this was that's fucked up. It didn't matter whether you were somebody who was a fucking thin blue liner or whoever. You saw that video and you were dude, there's no fucking excuse for that. I mean, racist skinheads were even I don't know, that's a little fucked up. I mean, it was everybody was on the same page with dude, that is fucking over the top police brutality, fucking racist, fucking whatever you want to call it. And I did see somebody post something, and I don't know who it originally was, this is an original idea of mine. But I seen somebody post something that said one of the things, though, about the riots was that we were all kind of solid. There was a weird solidarity to where we were all in agreement about this. But the riots that are happening right now and happened afterwards, whether you agree or disagree with it, did kind of repolarize this, because there's people out there who are never going to agree with people using violence as a protest and stuff. Me, I'm kind of, I don't know. I think that nonviolent protest is more effective and has proved to be more effective so long as it's a consistent thing. But I see the reasoning and I see what comes with, violent protest and rioting and stuff like that. But I do agree with the sentiment that it has now more than anything else kind of divided that group to where it does turn some people off. So as soon as you see rioting and stuff, you're fuck it. That, because people can't get behind people going and destroying other people's businesses who had nothing to do with the thing that happened in the first place to cause the riots.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a whole big thing. It's just 2020. I like all the memes, the 2020 memes that are just like something, like your 2020 being murdered by something. Like it just, such a weird year so far.
Fuck yeah, it is. 2020's fucked. I mean, like, seriously, like, this is what we need right now. Like, fucking this cop, like, this one, like, these three cops, I'm not gonna say it was one, but it was one who fucking, like, the other three, like, didn't help. But it was one who fucking, like, you know, basically murdered this motherfucker. I mean, maimed him and fucking, like, had him gurgle out his fucking last breaths and shit. Like, really? Like, really? If this one cop would have fucking had some sense and shit, like, we don't need this as fucking a collective conscious in America right now. Like, the last thing we needed, like, it seemed like people were starting to get back to their normal lives. People were starting to fucking, you know, like, oh, hey, we're not in fucking quarantine anymore. Maybe we can go out and start doing stuff. Things were opening up. People are going and walking around the parks. People are going out smelling the roses, fucking looking at the butterflies, whatever. And then this shit happens. Again. And now we're back in the fucking 1950s and shit.
I wish it was better. I don't understand why it's not better. It's never gonna be better.
That's what's fucked up. Like seriously, this is going to sound like I'm saying something that I'm not saying, but you gotta follow me to the end here. Like, if you just cut the beginning of what I'm saying and stuff, you're gonna think I'm saying something completely other than what I'm saying. However, this is a very abstract thought that I've thought to myself a few times. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's so crazy that it's so weird that racism isn't funny. I'm going to say that again. It's so weird that racism isn't funny because it's so fucking absurd. And I know that is something that because fucking everything that's attached to it, like that it's still something that's going on today. That fucking we used to fucking enslave people based on race. That we used to fucking do all this shit. That there are still people who discriminate people based on race. That's why it isn't. But seriously, how fucking absurd of a fucking concept is it really to fucking judge somebody based upon their race or make decisions upon that person's self-worth based upon their fucking race? It seems like it should be the funniest concept in a movie. Like it was some slapstick bullshit like, oh, that guy doesn't like that guy because he's a different race. Oh, he's a stupid idiot. Who would think something so stupid? It's like so absurd. It's so absurd that is like actually how we fucking live as fucking people. That we claim to be intelligent fucking human beings, but really this is a fucking thing that has always been a thing. It is so fucking stupid. Like, what more evidence do you need? I'm not saying this to say that I understand black culture or anything like this, but like I adopted 2 black kids. So I mean, like, I fucking know, like, I've seen firsthand, like, and that didn't give me some window into black culture or anything like that, but it gives me firsthand to say, like, there is no difference. There's absolutely zero fucking physical difference, fucking spiritual difference, fucking whatever difference between a black person, a black child, and a white person other than outward physical appearance. It is so fucking beyond simple. It's so beyond ridiculous. The fact that a white person and a black person is treated different statistically in our justice system is a fucking sham, and it's fucking we should be ashamed of it. Our justice system is a fucking joke. The fact that fucking police officers who are employees of the justice system, who are a part of the fucking system of the justice system, and are the same ones who that when they get caught are being tried by the same system that they're employed by. There has to be something else that is keeping people accountable. There has to be a better answer, because the whole thing is absurd.
I don't know, buddy. I don't even really like think about it or notice it. It's not like a thing I even try to even be a part of. I don't know if like that makes it bad or like it means I'm ignoring it, but I don't even think about it. It doesn't make sense to me. So I just ignore it, I guess.
What doesn't make sense to you? Do you just ignore that, or did you just ignore the big long fucking rant that I just went on?
No, you just said there's no difference between a black child and a white child and a black child and a black person. There's no difference. We are exactly the same spiritually and mentally and everything. Like, so that's what I mean. I don't spend any time thinking about it, I guess. When maybe I should. I just don't I don't understand why it's even a thing. Like, we talk about it at all. I mean, I guess we're supposed to or whatever.
Well, I mean, and that's part of what people talk about as far as white privilege or whatever. Now, I think people take the concept and they take it and they kind of blow some of the things out of proportion. But one of the things about white privilege or whatever is that we are privileged that we don't have to think about it, right? Like, it's not a big part of your day. It's not something that you think of. It's not something that you worry about. Like racial injustice and things like that is not stuff that you ever think about because it doesn't really affect you. Now, a lot of people in the African American communities, that's not necessarily true. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I think that sometimes there's things that are misconstrued as being racist or racism and stuff that are not necessarily the case. But sometimes there are those things, and sometimes that's ingrained in your personality. Sometimes that's ingrained in the community as well, to be on the lookout for those types of things that do present themselves as being characterized or there being an injustice on you because of the color of your skin. And that's something that is thought about, and that's something that is presented. But I'm not making a case for white privilege or against white privilege or whatever you think about it. But what I'm saying is that is kind of a thing that you don't have to think about that. That's one of the things of, with my black son, that's one of the things that I worry about. Whenever one of these things happen, it's like, when do I have that conversation with my boy? When do I sit and say, like, you have to be careful. You have to be more careful out there than somebody else, because they're not going to see you the same way. They're going to see this person who's on all of these TV shows. They're going to see a thug. They're going to see that. You don't want to tell somebody that, but are you doing them a disservice by not telling them that?
I mean, I think it's up to them to figure out on their own and see how you can choose how to be perceived.
But you can't.
Yes, you can.
You can't choose how somebody else. You cannot choose how somebody else perceives you when that person doesn't know you. Okay?
I mean, if you see somebody like you're saying, East Dayton boys, like the dudes that wear the hats with the tag still on them and the jeans with like rips all over them, and like you can tell they're like trashier, dirtier dudes. They do like, I mean, you can see that shit. Like if you see somebody that's in a tucked shirt that's ironed and got nice shoes on, and they're like, their hair is done and they're clean cut, and you can tell that. I mean, your perception of them is a little bit